Hey everyone, welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
I have a question for you.
Oh, well, do tell.
What are your personal core values?
Oh, an ambush. Wow, we didn't even get into it.
There's no warm up here. There's no idle chit chat. What are your core values? Let's go straight to the core.
Actually, I know what my core values are. Surprise.
Oh, look at you. It's like this is your job. All right. So can you rattle them off?
Yeah. Family is definitely one of my core values. Growth is a very big core value. Integrity. And then if I were to label just 4, I'd say the last one is actually fun. How about you? Do you know what your core values are?
No, I was trying to set you up, and I thought you were going to kind of fail at that task.
Yeah. Let this be a lesson.
You didn't.
Let this be a lesson.
Really backfired on me.
Well, it's interesting.
Some of mine. I can just say some of mine. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have such a good list, but to me, autonomy and freedom is one. Creativity is one.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't know. That's about my 2 that I can come up with off the top of my head. It's hard to figure out what your core values are.
Yes. I have been many, many conference rooms full of people, 50, 200, 400. And this is an exercise that I've practiced with people many, many years.
Yeah.
And this is the first way I always enter into the experiment is to say, do you know what your personal core values are? And you'd be shocked by the number of people that raise their hand. It's very few.
They do. Oh, that don't know it.
Yeah. Right. Sorry, that was a reverse question.
Yeah. And sometimes when I have that conversation with people, they'll give answers I have an opinion about core values.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I think core values trustworthiness or some of those are just such thin. They're too thin. They're not really core, right? They might be values, but they're too thin. No one runs around and says the opposite. Actually, I'm untrustworthy.
Well,
right?
Yes, but trustworthiness is not a thin value.
Okay.
But I think what you're getting at is people's reactions.
It's everyone would say they're trustworthy.
Do you think so? I don't.
Even thieves.
No, I don't think that's true. Okay. Well, yeah, especially thieves.
Trust me, man.
I'm so trustworthy. Why have you told me that 4 times in the last minute and a half?
Well, okay. So in your experience, when you start into a conversation about people's core values, a lot of them, you say, don't know it. They don't know what they are.
Right. Well, and some people are like, well, this is just idle chit chat. Who really cares? Well, maybe people don't think that, but here's what I'll tell you about a core value is that we all have really deep ingrained core values, whether we know it or not. And the reason it's really interesting to know it is because everything that you think, say, and do is measured against what you value, whether you're consciously aware or not. So using the word trustworthiness as a core value, if somebody has that as their true value, that trust is super important to them. If somebody tells them a little white lie in conversation to be funny, it could throw that person off. Where the other person who doesn't have that as a core value, or it's not at the top of their list, they're not thinking about it like that. So it doesn't cloud their judgment about some person. But if you have a certain core value, you really do make decisions about yourself and others based on what that value is.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about how we come up with our core values. But first, I have a list.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a list of like 8 benefits of identifying what your core values are.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Let's go through why. So we're talking about core values. Let's go through why we would actually want to do that. Like what is the benefit?
Oh, cool.
So
it's been a long time since we've done a list.
Few weeks. Okay. So first, values help you find your purpose. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's very, very true. Because that's if you value, for example, if you value your religion, and you value it as one of your top values, then your purpose could very much be driven around working with things in your church or in your circle that are nonprofits that need your help. And it's a very, very big priority for you.
Yeah. And we've talked about how when you know what your purpose is, that can get you into a really great spot.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, values help you react in different situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So that would be like the example tactical. I just used. Yeah. But that's If for example, I'm just going to throw out examples during these because I have so many,
that's great.
So many words. Fitness, for example, if you are someone who has a strong personal core value of fitness and you are with people that are being abusive with their bodies or certainly not taking care of their bodies, there's a real natural pull away.
Yeah, you can just make the choice. Like, I don't hang out with these people.
I just don't want to be around that. I just can't be around that. It's not in alignment with how I feel.
Yep. The dovetail to that is values help you make decisions. So that was an example of like a decision making.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. And I'll go so far as to say, like, when you really know what your top core values are, like let's say your top 5 core values are, oh boy, does it make it easy to make decisions fast. You're like moving faster in your life because you don't get caught up. Yeah.
And in a work context, I don't know how many people go through core values at work. We certainly we do it all the time. So in our work context, we have core values. They're written down. Everyone knows them. And we hire and fire based on these core values. It's like how we make decisions. Like all the time, I'll be in conversations and people will be trying to make a decision and they'll say, does that align with our core values? Right. Yes or no. And if it's a no, we don't do it. Right. And it makes, like you said, it makes it really easy to decide. Right. From a work context, core values are something that most companies will do as an exercise during strategic planning or once a year or once every couple of years. What's really interesting about core values, so I won't get off on my soapbox too much as it relates to the work core values. Get on up there. Get on up on that soapbox. That soapbox was too short. Now I've got a 6-foot ladder. The thing about core values at work is people are driven by what they think they are supposed to have as a core value. And I think personal core values are the same way. And they feel like there are certain labels that they are, quote, supposed to have as a core value, but they don't actually. So sometimes that's maybe where I'm talking about thin core values. Yeah. That's where I see thin core values. It's like, we're supposed to have these ones written on our wall. Yeah, like, exactly. You're not acting that way. So why would you have those as your core values? Yeah. I'm always pushing back on core values in exercises with teams because they're very seldom starting off in the way that the words that they're choosing are actually real. They're more aspirational. That's the other thing about core values, by the way. A core value is not an aspirational thing. A core value is already. So it's already a thing. Yeah. So like if people want to say fitness, right? Like I want to be a supermodel swizzle stick, right? That's my core value. But I weigh a lot and I don't ever exercise and I love food. But someday I want that. Yeah. Okay. So then that is not representative of what you actually value. That's a goal, not that's an aspiration. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep. So there's a difference there. A very cool thing. Okay, we'll get off the work soapbox.
Okay,
shortly. A very cool thing that happened at our company is, we have Slack, which is like our internal chat thing, and there's different rooms that people chat in. Someone made a room called Core Value Stories, and when an employee or a coworker exhibits one of our core values, someone writes a little like paragraph story about what they observed.
Wow.
I thought that was like the coolest thing. That was like not anything the managers did or like the leadership team did. It's just like, I don't even know who did it. I should go find out who did it.
Wow.
But it's awesome. And it's been going on for years.
Wow. Yeah.
And it really highlights the power of like core value alignment.
Yeah. And it is interesting just in the intersection of work core values and personal core values, because that is a natural question that comes up in big team sessions that I'm running, is that people will say, well, do my personal core values have to match my work core values? Or can I have a different value at work than I do in my personal life?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And that's an interesting perspective as well. And it really depends.
Yeah. We had that last week. Last week, I was meeting with some of my business owner buddies, and we were talking about core values. And one of them goes, oh, you know what? Like, my personal core values are the same as the company's core values. And I'm like, yeah, you own the company. I hope they're fairly aligned.
Oh my gosh. And they said it as though they were a little surprised. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Like, oh, how did this happen? That's weird. Melissa and I are huge self-awareness nerds. We've been working on this stuff for a really long time, and we love talking about it and sharing it with all of you. We've actually brought all of the stuff we've made into an online course, and we think it's really great. The course starts by learning about yourself and how your mind-body connection works. It dives into your thoughts and feelings, and then helps you learn how to become your true, authentic self. Start your journey today. Head to theselfawarenessjourney.com to learn more and sign up. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Number 4, values help clear out clutter.
Yeah.
All right. So like, meaning like extra baggage in your life, right?
Yeah.
Identify things that you maybe just need to get past, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that too. And whenever you say stuff like that, it's so easy to go to the like physical examples like health, you know, like if you want to be more healthy, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that for me, like clearing out clutter, it sounds a little harsh, you know, but certainly like changing friend groups over the years, or morphing kind of like who you're hanging out with on a more regular basis.
Yeah.
I think core values definitely help you really kind of get aligned with who you want to be hanging out with, and sort of just like, hey, this old stuff that doesn't serve me anymore, I'm just gonna move on from that. Yeah. I don't need to engage in that drama anymore.
Right. And your lead indicator is how you're feeling when you're around those people.
Yeah.
Or when you're making plans with those people, or if there's events that those people are going to be, how do you feel about those people?
Yep.
And if you're identifying it, you can also trace it back to, is it something within your core value list?
Yeah. All right. This one's good. Okay. We're at number 5. We got to get to 8.
Okay.
Values help you choose the right career.
Interesting. Yep.
So that's true. If I think I can see when people are not doing the right thing, right? Yeah. They're not in the right bag. This one goes back to the passion thing, right? The values, the passion are not quite aligned. Yeah. This doesn't work out.
Yep. Yeah. Their energy, it just isn't attached to it. So their quality of work, or the amount that they invest emotionally, is much more minimized.
Yeah. 6, values help you develop a sense of self.
Oh, I love it.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Makes it easier to anchor in, I think, to the things that really matter to you.
Yeah, and kind of have an opinion about subjects, right? And know your base, right? Yeah. Know what's grounding those opinions and stances on things.
Yeah. And I would just say at this point again, everybody has core values already, whether you are consciously aware of them or not, you do have them. So I think this number five, did you say?
Now we're on 6.
Oh, 6. Yeah. That is more about the self-awareness piece, right? It's like being really, truly aware of what you value.
All right. Number 7, values help increase your confidence.
That's an interesting one. I wouldn't have made that leap, but yes, it makes sense.
I think that's true. I think before I really started thinking about what my core values were, it was a little bit less stable on what, kind of my opinions and and what I was confident about. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Like, since creativity is, one of my core values, I'm now very confident in everything creative in that arena.
Yeah. That's so true.
And 8, values help your overall happiness level.
Yes. Well, that's true too. If you're operating within your values and you're not splitting your energy or spending time with people that don't represent your values, or you're in a job that you really, really love because you value what it stands for or what you're doing within it. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's, to me, that's like the best. If we went through a feature benefits chart,
yeah,
that's the best benefit, right?
Yeah. Is your overall happiness.
It makes you happier.
Yeah.
So that's why you should know your core values.
Yeah.
All right. So how are we going to figure that out?
I happen to have 2 ideas.
All right. Coach Melissa is going to walk us through it.
I love this though. I get so excited about this. So I happen to have several tools in my arsenal for finding words that are related to what a person's value is. So the first exercise that I would offer people, or idea, is to just take out a sheet of paper and list out everything that you think is one of your core values. And just for fun, I brought this little list of words, and I'm going to list some of them. Sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat this morning. Okay.
And like, since everyone's listening, they can't see her, but I can see her.
Yeah.
She's this like deck of cards.
Yeah.
It's like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
It's like a core values deck of cards.
Yeah. And I don't have a poker visor on or a cigar, but it would be fun for the visual. Okay. So like certain words are in this. So I'm just going to list a few to get people started creatively, right?
Crank some out.
Yeah. Integrity, recognition, growth, volunteerism or service. Oh, I love this one. Urgency. I forgot about that word. I'm going to just set this card off to the side.
Yeah, that one might be yours.
Faith in religion, status, simplicity, money, honesty, loyalty, trust, family. I'll give just a couple more. Fitness, fun, right? So there are probably 75 cards in this deck, so I'm not going to list all of them, obviously. But what I would do is just from those words, if you want to re-listen to this part of the pod again to pull those words out, or you can just like whatever you wrote down, use those as a springboard for some of the other words that you have for yourself.
Or I'm almost sure if you went and Googled core value words,
yeah, probably.
It would just be a giant list.
Yeah, I would, and make sure I would actually put personal core value words, not just regular core value words, because you'll get all sorts of customer service and all kinds of other stuff.
Things,
businessy things. But once you have a list started, just set it down for a little while. And I think that the goal really is to get to a place where you can figure out your top 3 to 5. And I think the really hard part comes when we start, because our first list of 20 or however many words we have is aspirational. It's aspirational. It's stuff that we want to value or we think we are supposed to due to our friends and family relations, due to how we've been raised, where we were raised. There's a lot that is a shoulda versus it is, right? So the real challenge is to get it to 3 to 5 words tops. One of the ways that you can always tell what you're actually valuing is look at your calendar and look at your checkbook.
You know,
that's true. Your pocketbook,
do some research
and your calendar,
in those two spots.
Wherever you're spending the most of your time is what you value. Wherever you're spending the most of your money is what you value, even if it's within your house, because you value your stability. You know, you value things in your home, your family. So those are kind of, that's a quick way to do that. And once you've got that 20 down, start to get rid of words. And they don't mean that those words aren't important to you. It just means that those aren't your real core key ones. And see if out of those words, you can identify the top 3 to 5. That's one way.
Okay.
The second way is I cannot tell you how many people, when they go through this conversation for the first time, they have no idea. They have no idea, or they'll look confused and not really know. And the idea of trying to evaluate themselves, depending on their own awareness or depending on how if they are judging, if they can't observe, if they're in too much judgment, they may not even be able to make much progress in trying to figure out just by identifying in themselves. So another really great way to figure out your core values, if you feel like you're one of those people, is to make a list of people that you really look up to in your life. What people in your life do you consider to be really strong mentors for you? There may only be 1 or 2 people, that's fine. And really identify, what did they do for you, or what is it about them that you find so appealing, right? And what are you connecting and attaching yourself to that person for? And then, and here's the fun part about that. That is your value. Whatever you say about that person is what you value the most. Like, that person was taught me. They were a teacher, you know, so you value learning, you value people that come alongside and help you. Like, that's a huge value.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, the other week we talked about mentors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, what, like, mentors in your life, like, what drew you to them?
Right.
What do you admire about them?
Yeah.
They're probably the things that are your core values.
So I want to ask you a question. Do you think your core values change?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of that for myself. You know, if they've changed, or if I've just been more like aware of what they are as I get older. Yeah. I don't know.
I get asked that question a lot, and I was just curious to hear what you would say about it. It feels
like that they shouldn't really change to me. But I do think people do grow quite a bit through life, and I think that if you are in a growth mindset through your life, that your core values are likely to change.
Yeah,
as you move through the journey.
I like that. It's so funny because we both talked over each other, and we both started a sentence with "I feel," and you were saying exactly the opposite of what I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Yes, because you said I feel like they shouldn't change, but I was going to say, but then you sort of changed your mind, or you sort of said, well, I think as you develop, they do naturally. Some of them anyway. You know, maybe 1 or 2 of them are your anchor cores that aren't going to change at all.
Yeah.
But like one of the examples in my earlier, when I had the Authentic Leader at the very early stages, and I had a team of people and admin, we were going through this example and trying to figure out what the core values for the company were. And one of the words that was really important to me was courage. Now, but I reflect back on that. It was over 20 years ago, and I was a younger woman, business owner, and I was instructing and informing, teaching and speaking to older individuals than me, most of them, and a lot of men, older men.
Mostly well into their career.
Yep. And so courage was a very important thing for me, and I was acutely aware of my feelings of, like, I just don't feel quite good enough. Like, like,
so that sounds like what you were saying earlier. Like, that was an aspirational core value.
But Well, yeah. So that's interesting because I realized that in order for me to do my job well, I had to have courage. I had to have courage. And I really practiced it. And it stayed in the forefront of my mind for a really long time. And maybe the manifestation of it wasn't very smooth, right? I may have looked a little like I was being a little scrappy kid on the T-ball on the third base. But I do think, though, that over time, like I don't even think about that anymore. You know, that I don't know whether I would place that as one of my top core values anymore. Although I do value when I see people being courageous. So maybe it just sort of shifts in importance. You know, maybe we operate with the same little bucket of values, and they just sort of surface to the top more depending on where you are in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well worth doing a little dive, I think, and figuring out what your real value is. And is it truth or is it aspiration?
I got one more question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that would have been a good ending right there, but I'm going to string the podcast along for another couple of minutes.
All right.
We talked about company core values.
Yeah.
We talked about personal core values. Have you done a family core values with your family?
Yeah, that is such a good question. Yes, actually,
of anyone, it would be you.
Right.
I've never heard of anyone actually doing this, but like if anyone would have done it, it would have been you.
Well, it's funny that you asked because, you know, me, I have such a terrible memory. It's like work amnesia. Well, I just had work amnesia again because I was going to say no. And then it's like, oh, no, yeah, we did this.
Yeah, you did
that. So
we sat down as a family and had a strategic planning session. we went over core values.
We did not sit down as a family only because 3 out of the 4 of us are highly introverted. So what we did do is
an email.
We all individually did the exercise when nobody else was around. And then we did come together as a family and share what some of the words were. Our kids were young, like they were in junior high at the time. It was really fun to do that, actually. And so they had fun with it.
That would be an interesting exercise. I might try that.
Yeah.
With the family, see how it goes.
Yeah. And it is fun to do it. And the reason I wanted the kids to do it alone is I didn't want them to be informed by their parents. You know, I didn't want them to think they had to do or say or be anything. So that would have been the aspiration instead of the real.
Yeah. Very cool. What a fun conversation.
It is. It's awesome. Well, good luck, everybody, looking for your core values. I think you'll have a lot of fun with that.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.